quality time is of the essence, particularly when you are in the ward. You cannot even hold the patient for quite long. Maybe they would like to stay with you only for a few minutes. How are you going to deliver the lesson that you would like to teach your patients in such a very short time? Now, our learning outcome must always be focused, must always be limited, must always be catering what we intend to teach. That's the reason why, in relation to your assignment, this is exactly what I'm asking you for. In assignment number 2, you are going to come out first for your learning outcome before you can actually prepare your PowerPoints that's good for 1 hour. So this is exactly the point. Now, I really would like to focus on looking into the learning outcome. This is how we're going to meet, no, the standards of what we are going to teach in the classroom. So this is otherwise known as effective classroom strategies. And there are 9 of them that we are going to look into. No, how are we going to make it sure that our classroom instruction strategy will work inside the classroom or with your patients in a way? There are so many things that we will consider here. Number 1, for instance, in delivering the knowledge and at the same time comprehension learning outcome, then we will always look into identifying similarities and differences. Especially in nursing, no, this is very necessary, and this is actually a very good strategy for you to make it sure that the students will learn something, especially when we are going to make diagnosis. We are trained to spot abnormalities. Now, in order to find abnormalities, we have to look into the normal value so that we can actually have a point of comparison, the normal and the things that are not normal. So we have to compare. So in short, we're going to look into the base value. This is exactly why we need to identify the similarities and at the same time the differences. We will look into that as we go on. This is number 1. No. Number 2, summarizing and note taking. Usually this is going to be in the end. No, when you're going to deliver your class, you're going to make it sure that you're going to make a review, you're going to make a summation or the summary of the class so that you can actually recap. You will be able to evaluate if the students will be able to or were able to get what you want to teach them. Then, of course, the note taking. This must be emphasized with the student. Always remember, when you're going to teach, we are always looking into how much the student will learn, not how will they pass the exams. So note taking is necessary because note taking it's actually a time it's given that it will actually help the students to recall whatever they have in the classroom. So it will be their personal note. You see, when they take down, they will be able to look into their important points, and then they will be able to remember. Not just like other students just sitting down and looking at the lecture. At the end of the day, what did they learn? They could not remember anything because nothing would actually remind them. The PowerPoint will not be a reminder all the time. It will always be the scribble that you made on your notebook where you can actually recall. It will make you recall what type of lessons we're discussing in the class, what are the topics that we're discussing in the class. So note taking is always very important to consider. Number 3, reinforcing effort and providing recognition. This is also a very good strategy. Remember, when we tackle about operant conditioning, the reward and punishment, one of the best reward that we can give that's actually for free and that's legal to the students will be a praise. We are going to recognize their work. Good job. You see, acknowledging that the students did something better or did something excellent. That is free. And that's legal. That's totally legal. Now, sometimes teachers are limited in a way because we are not even allowed to give additional mark, not unless it's given or not unless it's actually approved or not unless it's allowed by the law. It's allowed by the university. We can just actually say +5, +10. We will not do that because there is no point in doing that. There will be no objectivity. But giving praise, giving recognition, reinforcement is one legal means to acknowledge the work of the students so that they will actually encourage to do better. So that's the thing, no? Positive reinforcement. There are other ways, of course, no? You can give them free materials or lower years, maybe per kinder, give them candies, give them extra time for the efforts that they did, equivalent to the efforts that they did. Yeah, this is very important. We have to look into this as we go on. Another very important classroom strategy that will work will be homework and practice. Normally, this is supposed to be the case. Every after lesson, there will be a homework. Remember in the assignment that I actually give you, I included here in the last part that you need to require the students to come out with a homework and a test. Yeah? So a homework and a test. These are the things that the students must always do. Just like when you are done with my class, I'm going to give you read something like about chapter 9 or chapter 10. We're going to discuss about that tomorrow. Or answer the following questions. Or compute the following problems, especially when you're doing drug problems, drug computations. You see? It's not meant that you're going to get it perfectly or get the right answer. It's meant that when you go home, you have something to practice on. You have something to solve. You have something to do. So that when you come back in the morning, you have something to show to the class. You have something to verify if what you did is right or wrong. Most of the time, all the practice and the homework that we are actually doing are non-graded. This is for practice only. No, it's a form supposed to be to encourage the students to do something more when they go home, to take responsibility of their education. But of course, if we're going to do that, all students will actually complain. We're just going to say, is this necessary? Or are we have a lot of things to do? In fact, one assignment is too many already for us, no? But giving homework is something more, something like crazy. But supposed to be it's a norm that we have to do as a teacher. We give them homework so that students will be busy when they go home. They will spend 1 hour maybe to read something about it, to do something about it. But most of the time, we tolerate students will just actually do the homework when they come to the university. It becomes a schoolwork already, not a homework. Homework is supposed to be done at home. So that's exactly the point. Yeah, I remember you were actually. I could recall there are students there are children, your children, who are doing that almost every day, and we are complaining. You are complaining. We are going to look on the positive side of what homework is. No, we're going to look into that. Why is it that it's very important? No, another one, of course, will be non-linguistic representations, sign language, body language, smile. These are some of the things that will be very important to reinforce. Particularly, our presence is already very important, no? Especially when the students are doing class activity, we'll be there, just standing with them, just sitting down with them. It's very important, no? So we are going to look into that. Then cooperative learning. Co means together. Operative learning means to work together, operate together. You see, we will encourage this all the time with our students, no? Especially in our class, it must be designed that way, especially adult learners like you. The problem is sometimes we are limited with the content, we are limited with time, we are limited, with so many things because your courses are really compressed in such a very short time, and it's very difficult to do. But one of the most important things is that the best way for students to learn will be through cooperative learning. Students will operate together, discover together, find about the problems together, think together. So this is the case, no? Provided the students will be supervised and facilitated by the teachers. How are we going to do that? It must always be reflected also in the learning outcome that we design. You see, that is very necessary and important. Next is setting objectives and providing feedback. Objectives is a must when you teach, whatever it is. When you're going to teach in your ward, let's say you're a manager, there must always be an objective. When you're going to speak in a conference, there must always be an objective. If that objective is not written in your PowerPoint, it must be written somewhere so that you have something to look into. You do not want to do to just teach for the sake of teaching. Kali-wali, ala karim, anything goes. That will not be good, no? Because at the end of the day, you could not actually look into how you're going to evaluate what you just taught. Evaluation is necessary for on the part of the student and on your part also. You cannot actually find out if there is transfer of knowledge. Now, this is the thing that you have to look into, how you're going to transfer knowledge to your audience. Now, let's say, for instance, you have a discovery, you have a research to present, you have something to say in a conference. So you speak in a large crowd. How are you going to make it sure that the students or those people who attended actually learn something from you? Remember, when you're going to speak, you have something to say and they have something to learn. That is the point. How are you going to evaluate what you have said could be beneficial to them? So this is very important. Now, in teaching, setting objectives will be very important. The less objective it will be, the better it is. And of course, providing feedback to the students. Always, when you learn that in the past, in your first semester, that the basis of our feedback must always be the learning outcome that we actually identify. See, when we're going to set examination, just like what we have today, and at the same time, just like what you have the other week, that you quiz, these are all coming from the learning outcome that we have identified earlier, right? How do you actually give feedback? Give praise, give the marks, then give the corrections if there is a time. Give the point where the students can improve on. You could actually do that one by one with your teachers, no? Individual consultation. Generating and testing hypotheses. This is one way also of guaranteeing that the students will be able to utilize their critical thinking. When we teach, we do not just teach facts. We teach students how to solve problems. We do not just teach facts. Yeah? We do not just actually teach knowledge. We do not just actually teach comprehension or understanding. We have to go on a higher level in such a way that the students will be able to find an answer to a complex problem that you are trying to solve. And that is generation of and testing of hypothesis. You come out with the evaluation, you come out with synthesis, you come out with application. So there are solutions that need to be given. You see? Don't you know that when you're going to make diagnosis, it's just simply generating your hypothesis? Because there is already a tentative answer of the problem that you have. You see? Just like you're doing already a research. When you're going to make a diagnosis, you're doing already, or you're making already a hypothesis. Why? How did you come out with your diagnosis? You can actually come out with your diagnosis if you have already an observations. Then after that, there is already a problem statement. Then after that, you come out with your answer. This is what we do. We would like our students to think that way. How to spot problems, then how to solve these problems. This is actually the main point why we are teaching. And we need to do that inside the classroom. That way, it will work. It will actually help the students to polish the critical thinking, to polish the problem-solving abilities or capacities. And then, of course, questions must always be there, and cues, and of course, organizers. No questions, no? When you're going to ask questions, the students tend to tend to answer. Not one question, one answer. Is not like that. Not questions that can be answerable by yes or no. Questions that will generate ideas inside the classroom. Because the students, based on number 4, homework and practice, the students could have something in mind, so they will actually give their objective point of view, their knowledge, their ideas about the questions that you have asked. Questions must be broad. Teachers must be able to formulate questions that would always generate discussions inside the classroom. The more controversial the question will be, the better it will be. That's the reason why in ethics also we have to do a lot of debate, because the teacher must always generate a question that will get the interest of the student, you see, among others. Yeah. So these are the classroom instruction that will work. We are going to look one by one. Now, let's say, how did I come up with this? Research actually have shown that this is actually very important, no? So a lot of researchers have been identified, have been used in order to identify the following strategies that will actually work. So a little bit on number 1, most common, so the highest, no, identifying similarities and differences among all the researches that were conducted. This ranked number 1. So for 45% actually would guarantee that there is learning. We cannot actually guarantee 100% learning inside the classroom. Now, as a teacher, also will be able to utilize different strategies that will work, 3 or more. And if we are going to use identifying similarities and differences, we can come out already with 45% of success inside the classroom. And of course, there are 31 studies. I don't want you to memorize this, the number. I am just showing you that how important these are. And these are all coming from various studies. It's not just actually coming from me. Okay? It's just not coming from the textbook. I gathered various studies to come up with this. Summarizing and taking down notes, 34%. And then 179 of the studies. The reason why this is also, there is a large number of this, because nowadays students do not take down notes. No? Nowadays students record. There should be no problem with recording. Or just out of laziness also, students do not take down notes. So this is a phenomenon. This is a phenomenon that's actually beseeching so many institutions, not only MSU, but other universities all over the world. Students do not take down notes. See? Then some are reinforcing effort and providing recognition, educational psychology, school psychology, educations, all right, 29%, no? And number of studies, 21. Homework and practice, a lot again, because parents are actually complaining, especially if they have children who are studying in the lower years, especially during the weekend. Sometimes parents are even demanding also. I believe it's actually happening here also. Parents are demanding that there should be no homework on Thursday because students need to work. Somehow, it's actually true also. We need them to be occupied, but what happens next on Sunday? When they go to work, when they go to school on the first day, so nothing, they will be blank. They go to the classroom with nothing in mind. That will be the problem. That's the reason why one assignment also may be necessary so that the students will be occupied in the weekend. So at least 1 hour spent for doing homework is actually necessary also. That will be the point. If you're going to observe your children that way, they will do that. No, of course, no. But the problem is, parents are complaining of homework because parents are themselves doing the homework. Is it true? Parents there on the other side?
Sometimes, yeah, true.
Yeah, isn't it? We're
80% true.
Yeah. So this is the problem. This is the problem, no, that we have in the current educational system that we have. Parents are doing the homework. Homework is supposed to help our children to learn more, so that the following day when they go to school, they have something to expect. They have something to show. This is the thing. When we actually give you homework also, chances are sometimes students do not actually come out with the answers of the homework that we give. This is the challenge that we have. Definitely 20% of the time it will guarantee that there will be learning. Imagine 1 and 4 combined, how much learning will actually take place? 73%. That's high already. So you have to look at that, no? So another one, of course, will be non-linguistic representation, 26, and there are so many studies here, no? 246. Cooperative learning also, 27 percentile gain, and then 122 studies. And this time, since in educational setting, the most necessary thing that we have to do is to setting objectives. So 408 studies have been there. It will help us, particularly on the part of the teacher, but who among the students are thinking about the learning outcome that we have? See, if I'm going to ask you what is the learning outcome that we actually are taking right now, most probably you do not know, because this is the reality. In fact, some of the teachers may not even know the learning outcome that they have in mind. And anyway, I will cut it here. I do not want to tackle so much, but please try to read about classroom strategies. You can download also this one in the website. It's here already. Hopefully, I can actually upload your result today. Okay, and I'm very positive that most of you again got 100% in the exams. Okay. So shall we call it a day for your attendance? Will you please try to write your ID number and then write present? I will upload this one on in the website, the video as well. Okay. Please also share, subscribe, like, and share also in my YouTube channel. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you.